everyone have a handout? Who does not have a handout? It's alright, all students can, I don't know why, but no student can ever see a handout when they walk in the room. In 2000, I put them on a chair now, right? And they still walk. Alright, so next Friday is a little business. So one, I sent out the schedule for the rest of the term. No, Rob did not change supervisors. I just made a typo. Second, I had March 25th as TBA. Luckily, I hadn't planned anything because that's actually Good Friday. So there is no seminar. Obviously that's changed. March 4th, we have Dr. Diane yes, who is the research chair in medicine, and she'll be coming, so that's that one. So there's only one slot that hasn't been planned for the term. Next week, seminar is 1 to 2 because we need to be in 2001 and it's booked at that time, so it's learning about the research portal. You need to log on as per my instructions, which were really Jeanette's instructions, to log on and get your user, you have to get set up with the portal. You'll need your student ID or employee number if you're not a student, and your birth date. Has anyone tried to do it? Were you successful? Yes. Okay, I tried as well. I am not successful, but I think that my birth date is wrong in the system. Last year they had me down as 2000. I was born last year. All right. If many of you emailed me to say that you can't attend next week, that's understandable. And remember, it's just 70% of the seminars. You were given a link for other information sessions for the research portal, so you could learn about it that way. And obviously have someone take notes then.
Yes, just if you're not going to be there, as of April 1st, all your ethics applications will have to be submitted via that research portal. All right, so just so you know.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to do thesis formatting. Now, I know we did this last year, but this is a workshop that we decided that will just be done every year so that people will know about it. I upped my materials this year, and with the PowerPoint as well. Who here feels like fairly comfortable in Word? Like so comfortable that you could be up here? Well, you could, yeah. Okay. All right, so a couple people. So I'm going to ask my advanced skills people to maybe walk around and help others. Okay? Sorry. You knew it was coming. And the other thing you should know is that I know absolutely nothing about apples, about Macs. So all of my instructions are in PC. And so those with Macs, please help each other about what the icons look like and such. Well, there's only two faculty left that will never switch, and they're both in this room. So he talked to me about it again today. It's trying. David trying to make me switch. Yeah, for a laptop.
He's given up.
I said, anyway, there's no way. So why Microsoft editing is really important to know. It makes your life very easy. It makes things to be quick, and if you know how to use editing properties in Word, things are very easy. The reason that I'm really good at Word is because in the 80s, my parents got one of the first personal computers. My mom worked at the university. I was terribly embarrassed because I was the only family that had one. I wouldn't tell anyone that I had a computer. My parents had me, Microsoft used to come with these like great big help menus with tutorials in them, and my parents used to make me do them in the summertime. That was my summer homework, and I hated it at the time. I had to do it for that and for Excel. But lo and behold, I got to university, and I ran a conference. I all of a sudden knew how to import labels and make automatic envelopes come out and all that and do things quickly. When I got to do my PhD, I found I had this skill. Most of my colleagues, my peers, would be spending maybe an entire week doing their dissertation formatting when I just took a couple of hours. So I started making a business out of it, and I charged $50 per thesis, and it took me only 2 hours to do it, and so I made pretty good money. Okay, that way. And I told them it took me a lot longer. Sometimes I charge $75, depending on what their lunch looked like. That's how I judged it. If it was craft dinner, it'd be lower. So there are two different types of. If you go onto the grad, if you haven't ever looked, the graduate student website has an entire sheet that looks like this on how to format theses. Okay. They also have a document that you can download that's their template. Don't do that because it's wrong. I don't know what's wrong with them. If you use their template, you won't actually be able to do what they say to do. So don't do that. And if you haven't noticed, all of their materials are very difficult to understand and confusing. So you'll get to the point where you got to submit your thesis. There's two types of formats, and I explain to you the order. There's the traditional format, which is what's called chapter format, and manuscript format. They're pretty much exactly the same, except for how you present the text. What format do you choose? That's up to you and your professor. The difference between them is that manuscript format will have maybe 2 or 3 mini chapters that are complete articles that would be able to stand alone and be published, where thesis traditional format is your, chapter 1 intro, chapter 2 lit review, chapter 3, etc. So that's not up to you, that's up to your supervisor. So you really have no say on this, but I would say I think we're seeing much more and more manuscript formats, though. You'll notice on, some of you might not, but Jeanette should know this too, they have, if you've noticed, they have a lot better instructions now for what the manuscript, the only thing that's they've done well is to update what should be in the manuscript format. So you need, everyone has this document open, or should be okay? Okay, you need to double space, okay, which this document is pretty much double spaced. I'm going to do just one section. This is just for people who may not know how to do this. But you can double space your entire document, or obviously you can just select the text. Click on this, click on 2. You may think this is silly that I'm showing you this, but I see every time students handing in papers where they've put a hard return, manually double-spaced the document. And that would take, for a 10-page paper, that would take, I don't know how long it would take. A long time would be what I think. And also when you do that, it messes up all of the formatting, and it's just a silly way. Here you can just select it, click a button. I even have how to double space if you care. Margins. So what they want is, anyway, 38 on the left, or the gutter, and then you have 3 for the top and bottom, 2.5 for the right-hand side. Okay. So why is that? Because you might think this is really weird, but the point is, this was back in the day when we did a lot of thesis binding, so they have to have, the gutter has to be larger. This is a real pain in the bum, especially for tables and figures, because you'll have made all your lovely tables and figures, and then you'll change the margins, and then all of your tables and figures will be all wacky. So I recommend, before you write up results or anything like that, it's best just to create your document so you got the margins the way it's supposed to be. It's just easier. So how do we change margins? So right now this is in normal. We just go to page layout, select margins, and then custom. Oh, this is in American. Oh, I don't know the conversions. Okay. No. This is in inches, and I need to in centimeters. So. Pardon me?
2.54
I don't. I know what 1 centimeter is. I need to know what a 3.8 is.
It's written on your slide.
It's written on my slide. Oh, wonderful. Okay, there we go. 1.5 inches. That's smart of me. Okay. 1.5 for the. Whoops, sorry, I didn't mess it up. 1.5 for the left. Okay. And then the top and the bottom is 1.25. And the bottom, or the right, I mean, is 2.5. No, 1. Okay? It's easy though, and you select OK, and there it goes. But you can see that it changes quite a bit here, and it really makes your document a lot longer. Okay? I mean, everyone knows this because you all in undergrad played with your margins when you're handing in papers that were 10 pages. Okay, so that part's easy. Now, the page numbers. This is the hardest part. Okay, so for the page numbers, they are saying that for the front matter consisting of table of contents, abstract, acknowledgements, list of tables, all that stuff, that's supposed to be in Roman numeral. Then starting on page 1 of chapter 1, or whatever the text is then that should be Arabic number 1. And the other rule is that the title page should not have any numbering on it at all. Okay, so this is the hardest part. When I did my thesis, here's another reason why I learned how to do this. My master's thesis, a lot of people didn't know how to do this stuff. I did the old cut and paste and photocopy method for my page numbers. Yes, it was lovely. And I had to do it over and over again because they said I didn't do it right, and I have to do it. Anyway, did you remember this at Waterloo? They'd come and measure.
Yeah.
You have to bring your thesis, and you're sitting there, and they're measuring each page and stuff. It was crazy. Yeah. Anyway, a lot of photocopying. So how do we do this? Well, you have to know how to use section breaks. Section breaks are your friend. So you create a section break. A section break for the front matter. And then that will make it so the second chapter is its own section break. Then you can change the page number, or create a page number for the first, and then change the formatting once you get to your second section. I'll explain what this is, but you see it's in page layout and breaks. So here's our front matter. Table contents, so this is supposed to be page 1, Arabic. This is Times New Roman. So I'm going to put my table of contents. I'm on page layout. I say breaks. You can do a normal break, that's just like doing a hard return. Or you say you want a section break on the next page. Okay? So I'm clicking that. Notice now it creates a new page for me. I don't want my chapter, though, to be up there, so just bring it back up. To make sure that you've done this correctly, the biggest thing that is the easiest when you're formatting anything is to look at the actual formatting things. I forget what this little thing is called, but if you click on it, it will show all of the formatting of your papers. Okay? This is really useful. For example, I just took this, my past student's thesis, and I cleared all the, it actually was kind of a pain because I had to clear all the formatting, and it's really hard to clear formatting actually. But to be able to make sure that I had a document that you guys could use, I clicked on that, and then I could see where I'd put all the section breaks and everything, so I knew where to delete them to create this document. So this, using that little thing is really good. And you know how sometimes you're formatting something like a table and you think like, why on earth is there that space there, or you don't understand what's going on, you click on that and you'll see where your mistake is. So we have section breaks now. We have two sections, the front matter and the bottom matter. Now we will insert our page number. Okay. Insert page number. I'm going to actually say format my page numbers instead of just at the top. Okay, I would like it to be, then we need this to be Times New Roman. Say okay. And why didn't it do it? What the? Page numbers are really important. See, even I have problems.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it this way. Top of the page, over to the right. There we go. Now, notice this, so it's in Times New or Roman numerals, but we don't want that on the first page. Okay, so notice that here you've got this little click. It says different first page. It's a little toggle button that you see. Okay, you click that, and it goes away. Now we should have, I'm going to close this, nothing on the front. Number 2, number 3, number 4. Oh, but now we have a 5. You say, oh, I don't want that there. Okay, what do you do? Well, now we just have to change the format of that part. This is a different, okay, I opened up the page number formatting again. Now I'm going to say 1, but I want to start at what page? A 1, because we want the chapter 1, page 1 to be a number 1. You change that, click OK. There you go. Something that might have taken you, well, it took me like 36 hours to do my page numbers. Anyway, and we have just now done it in 5 minutes. Okay? I would like to show you something else about section breaks. I just got to find it. Pardon me. Okay. If you go to page 23, or now it's labeled 20 in the document. If you don't know, if you want to do it quickly, just do Control G. So it brings you to go to page number, click 23. Okay, so this is an example where this was a beautiful correlation table, and it's gotten all wonky too because of the page numbers. So you want, often, especially with statistical tables, it's easier to make them in landscape orientation rather than portrait. So you'll have, one page like this, then the other orientation, and again. So again, all you have to do is make section breaks. So here I'll say insert. No, I don't. It's page layout, isn't it? Yeah, page layout, break, next page. Oh, I don't want that as well. Some of mine is formatting weird again. It's just because of then you go to the bottom of your table and make another section break on the next page. So, in a sense, you now have a so there's a section break of a style before your table. Your table page is its own section, and then you've created a new section after the table. Now we can go to our table page and we can change the orientation to landscape and it will apply to only that section. In this case, it is landscape. And it didn't, oh, it did work, it's just I have an extra page. Okay? It's pretty easy, and that's it's much easier to make landscape pages for tables than portraits. Okay?
What type of section break do you put in?
Next page section break, yeah. You're never going to use any of those other ones. They're for making books and stuff like that. Like fancy publisher kind of stuff. Okay? Okay. Next is headings. Making automatic headings, okay? What type of headings you use, that's up to your prof, no one cares. These are APA headings. I don't even use those with my students for the thesis though. I like having some caps. APA doesn't use caps at all, and it's not very useful. But what you really just need to know is that the headings have different levels. So your main heading is called heading level 1. Your subheadings then is level 2, 3, depends, how you organize them. So in this example, this is a level 1 heading. My next subheading is called level 2, the next subheading level 2. But if I have a subheading under a subheading, that's called a level 3. Here you even have a level 4, okay? So it's just like in Word, they call them heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4. In this case, same thing, it's just that I'm calling them levels, that's all. So this is actually from an undergrad, because they always ask me questions like, how many headings do I need? And I always say, well, it depends on what you're writing about. So again, it doesn't matter what you use, that's up to your prof. There's a trend now to label headings to be involving numerically. So for example, in your results, chapter 4, it would be 4.1, introduction, 4.2, descriptives, and that sort of thing. Some people don't like that. Dr. Rohr doesn't like it at all. I don't know why, but just so you know. She's very anti-numeric about it, and she's super APA. Really, very much. Okay, so you can apply your different, you just have to organize then your paper to have your different types of styles. I'm going to actually go to chapter 4. Where's my, how do you show the navigation page? Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to page 12. We want to make this to be a chapter or a level 1 heading. So you go to in home, and I'm just going to make sure I say stuff. Okay. You can select all these different types of headings, but you can also create your own style. So I'm creating, I'm going to call mine heading 1 thesis. I'm now going to select modify to modify the style to be how I would like it. I want it to be bolded. I want it to be centered. You could change the font, make it bigger, whatever you want. I also like it to be, I like heading 1s to be all caps. So you can go font. I noticed I went to this format. This is the advanced features. Then say all caps. Okay. You can change how you want the spacing to be, etc. Say okay. There we go. Heading 1. So right now that would mean I can go now up to my first chapter. So I have chapter 1 and well, actually acknowledgements here. Now I'm going to make it to be, where did my heading 1 go? Heading 1 thesis. That's it, there it is. Okay, you just go, click, click, click. It's the end. You can also obviously cut it. Another easy way to do, if you don't know how to do this, is make one heading and then cut and paste that heading over and over again and just change the words. Okay, I'm going back down to my chapter 4. We'll do the next heading. Okay, so now what level heading will this be? There'll be a level 2 heading, yep. So I'm now going to say, I'm going to create a style. I'm going to call this heading 2 thesis. Modify, we might want this one to be left, bold, and caps. I don't know, whatever you want it to be. Okay. I'd also want to point out that you can make, we don't have time to go over this, but you can make the headings, like in this case, I've got 4.1. I could make a heading that is a heading and a numbered list at the same time. So meaning that I could make it that I have, chapter 4, heading 1 or whatever, and I could make it that I would have, it would automatically put a 4 and then automatically change it to be a 1 or a 2 or a 3 continuously throughout my chapter. Okay, it's an advanced feature, but it's pretty easy to use, and it's my next thing to add to this workshop. But yeah, I've done that with a student's thesis, and it was much easier because it just automatically then puts all the numbering if you want the numbered style. And I would continue to do this then. 4 point, that's a level 2 heading. I can have a level 3 heading. This is a level 3 heading here. So now I will say heading 3 thesis, and maybe now this time I'm just going to have it bold, but it's not going to be caps. Okay? And you keep doing that. And as you can see, it's probably easier, in my opinion, on your very first, set up your headings before you start all this writing, and, just get it organized. You can do it now. Or you can also, another thing you can do, which some of my students have done, is they'll just ask me for a good formatted thesis. They take it, and then they just change all the words to theirs. But it's probably better to be able to do it yourself. So, now that we have done that, we can make our table of contents. Oh, by the way, we can make table of contents would be heading 1. There, I click on it, it's done. Whoops. Who has made, raise of hands of people who have, why isn't it going over? What's going on?
Oh, because
There we go. Yeah. Who has done a automatic table of contents before? Okay. Who has done the old ... 4? Okay. Yeah. And now I've seen some good, I was fairly impressed with some undergrads recently, their ... really did line up. But you know that it doesn't. Again, I learned how to do this during my master's thesis. Someone else was sitting, I am going through a 300-page document doing the table of contents over 2 days. I remember Maggie, she's sitting there and she goes, and I'm like, teach me. So that's how I learned how to do table of contents and the headings. Again, saves you time. Okay, so now we've done our headings. So in order to do a table of contents, you'll see in my notes here, you have to create the automatic headings. That's step 1 of creating a table of contents. And then you just have to create it. It's very easy. You say insert. No, you don't. You go to references, table of contents, click on it. You can see how you can decide how many headings you want, how many levels you can. So in this case, it's Word. The default is 3 levels, meaning it would do level 1, level 2, level 3. But you can make it also be level 4, whatever you want. You click on that. What? That's not true. How can that be?
Let's try it again.
I think there's something wrong, Keith.
It's because you inserted this section, the new section.
Oh, that's why. Okay, table of contents. What the? Okay, pretend that works. I have no idea what's going on, but it worked fine for me half an hour ago. So you click on that though, and it will it just appears your table of contents. That's it. When it be with your headings. Again, some of the reason this is not all working for me is I'm trying to take a document that's been formatted and then unformat it and then reformat it. I probably have too many. I probably comparison. When you open up your table of contents like that, though, you'll notice you can update the table of contents and you can update the entire table, meaning every little heading. So if you changed a word in a heading and added a heading, it will update it. Or you can do just update page numbers. So that's easy to, at the very end of your thesis, you just have to click update the page numbers. Table of contents is automatically in single spaced and doesn't always have the formatting you want. So again, you just highlight, it's a gray kind of thing, you highlight it and it would enter the, you could just double space it or change the font of it. For theses, you also have to have a table of tables and a table of figures. Okay? Again, that's usually a very big pain in the butt. When you only have a few of them, it's not a big deal. But I know, like my dissertation had, 50 tables or something. So it would take, a lot of time to do that. Again, you can make captions. So let's find a table. Doesn't matter which one. Oh, irritable bowel. Okay. Oh, I'm going to do another little teachable moment here. Now, I noticed that this table is a little bit on that page and I want it to go down. Okay. So students, please don't use the space bar to make spaces, okay? Like you don't put a whole bunch of hard returns. Does anyone know how to quickly make it so that some text will go on to the next page?
Page break.
Page break, which is just control return, if you want to, okay? So you should never, I see this all the time, like students go, like this, and it, anyway, it's taken me longer to fix it. There. This isn't going to be the perfect example because I realize the student did some weird things, but to insert a caption, again, reference, you see this insert a caption, and it's to create labels for different things. It can be pictures or figures, whatever it is. This says figure. We want to make our label say table. Also, I'd like to point out you can call them table 1, but if you wanted to label them consecutively, like in this case, I want mine to be chapter 4 table, so 4.1. Again, you would do it in here. So in this case, all you'd have to do is put a 4. Why won't this work? Oh. That's why I need a new label. Table 4 point. Okay, so why am I only calling it table 4 point? Because after the point is what word will change over and over again. Okay, so it'll be 4.1, 4.2. If I had tables in chapter 3, I would go into this, I would create a new label called table 3, point. Then, say okay. You can make the caption say stuff like meaningful. So I've just copied the title of the table that I had.
Angela, can I ask a question?
Yep.
So there's a limit to how much you can type there, right? In that caption? If
I don't
remember
know.
correctly?
I
Can
don't-
you just paste the table or when you click OK, it'll put table 4.1, and then can you add the text in the Word document, or do you have to put it?
Oh, yeah. So Jeanette's asking, do I have to put this here? No, but then I wouldn't be doing a proper table of tables because the table of tables is only going to generate the words in here. So if you didn't put the words in there, then your table of tables would just say table 4.1.
Because sometimes the description is
Really
sentences
long.
Do you tend to type them in that? Or just,
I do, but I never have a table that's 4 sentences long.
okay.
But you could, I believe. Well, you could see. I mean, when I was practicing, I did a complete sentence one.
Okay, all right. Maybe I'm just misremembering.
Okay. Okay, here it is. Notice that it's not formatted the way I want. It's small. I want it to be 12 points. I don't want it to be bolded, maybe, or whatever. Obviously, I would delete that. Okay, now let's make a table of figures. I forget where it's supposed to go. This whole thing's all messed up now. I've messed my formatting up so much. So table of figures. This would be a heading 1. It is. Then I would go to references, insert table of figures. Oh, well, it's actually this is actually, pardon me, a table of tables, isn't it? Pardon me. I want it to be this, so if it said figure, then that would be my table of figures. I don't have any, so I want it to be everything that's table 4. Say okay, and there you go. Now I can show you from here what I mean by updating. Notice I can update the field. It's going to say, do you want to update the page numbers or the entire table? So as an example, if I added another table right now, and then I went up here and I just said update tables, it's not going to show my second table because I didn't update the entire table. Okay? So always, the very last thing you always do for your thesis is the table of contents, update the whole table and format it. If you want to do this for figures, why don't I have more figures?
Just say figure, probably.
Oh, here they are. Okay, again, same thing. Insert a caption, but now I'm going to create a new label. I'm going to make this to be figure 4 point. I say okay. Okay, so that's the one I was talking about. So I assume I could keep going. And I say okay, there it is. I don't like the font. So change it up. And there. I would do that for all of my figures. And then I'd make my table of figures. Oh, no I didn't, but okay. Okay, another thing you can do, which is maybe not useful, so with theses, some people will embed the tables and figures into the text itself, but you don't have to have too much white space. Alternatively, you can put all your tables and figures at the end of each chapter, which I'll tell you is a lot easier, but it not very reader friendly. Myself, I put all of them at the end of my chapters, but as I told you, I had like 50 of them. So to make it easier for the reader, I created another type of caption that would refer to the page number in where my table was. So I automatically, no matter what, I would throughout my entire document then, no matter how much text I added, it would keep changing the page number of where that table was. It was really cool. I don't think, and I wouldn't, I mean, this was a 400-page document, so, I mean. Okay, so that's easy, I'm sure. But I think you'll find, like with all of this, I don't know about you, but I think everyone can figure out how to do this stuff. It's more if you don't know what Word can do, then, you're not going to learn this. So again, this is a little bit about tables. You guys should know this. It's general practice, I think, in any discipline, that the table titles go above the table, and with figures, they go below the figure. This is APA, so I would expect it. Then last, you need to have your references. Mine does not care what type of referencing style that you use, okay? But reviewers do look at it. As an example, I've had, last year I got a couple, actually Michelle Kilburn was one of the reviewers. I mean, we're talking circling every little period in the references that we're missing, and I've seen this a lot. Dr. Rohr's like that a lot as well. So you should have very nice, you shouldn't have any spelling mistakes in your references. It's one of the first things that people look at, is kind of why? Because I think most reviewers would maybe think that the attention to detail in the reference list maybe reflects the attention to detail in the rest of the document. Okay? Don't let reviewers have any bad image of you to begin with. Have proper spelling, etc. No one cares what style you use. That's up to your professor. You might use numbering style or APA or whatever it is, but the main thing is to be consistent. Make sure you're consistent. Another thing that I do always as a reviewer is I always make sure that all the citations that are in the text are in the list of references, and everything in the reference list is in the text. I do find it. I actually go through as I'm going through, and every single citation I double check to see if it's in the list of references. Then I go to the list of references and I do find and I make sure that every single one is in there. It's one of the first things I always do as a reviewer. And again, I think it shows something about, if they've done a good job on that, you kind of feel like they probably have done. It's an image kind of a issue, It's shining your shoes before you go to the interview, okay? You were about to ask a question.
I was just going to ask, sometimes you have the DOI. Should that be on a separate line, or could it be part of the last line?
Oh, it can be on that, and that's a different issue. And if you look in the 2000 APA formatting, and it's on 6000 website, I've got all that on there. But, I mean, I'm the only one in this room that probably uses APA, strongly, right here. That's it. Okay, what I'd like to point out, do you see how the references, I'm going to my reference page here, somewhere. Oh, you can do your appendices, by the way, like this. Oh, I didn't realize I had all the appendices too. But I'm just showing you for references. They should obviously be double spaced. I'm just doing a little section here. And you also they should be hanging indent. Again, you can do hanging indents really easy. You don't have to, I see students all the time doing all these spaces and stuff. You just select your references and you click hanging indent and you say, okay, see you later.
Do it again, please.
I know, this just blows. Okay, so I said, or just select the text and the references. Went to paragraph, you'll see indentation, and there's this special button. You can do a first line, which would indent it like a paragraph, like when we indent a paragraph. Hanging indent is when the first line is full and the indent is on the preceding lines.
So, what's that formatting done
in a reference manager type of use?
No, the EndNote and all that, it doesn't it formats the sort, the citation, but not the style of the reference.